just come in too, because there's been this ongoing conversation regarding like, you know, those who either Mexicans or those who descend from Mexico, that they like to push us towards our Spanish roots. But, you know, the majority of us were actually indigenous first. I mean, my haplogroup is C1b. Was definitely, most definitely, I wasn't mixed with a native. We were natives mixed with the Spaniards. A lot of people don't realize also that the majority of our food, the Mexican food, I think because it became so commercialized, that people don't realize that a lot of the dishes has been around for thousands of years. Tortillas have been around for thousands of years. And there's still a lot of, there's, I think, about 60 tribes. Mexico has the most indigenous people that are like 100% indigenous. No African, no European DNA. Matter of fact, some of them don't know Spanish and they don't know English. They speak nothing but whatever their, you know, language is. So I just wanted to say that because there's so many times that, you know, I've had people in either my lives or I've been in others where they, you know, call me a Spaniard, which I am mixed with Spaniard. Don't get me wrong. But however, like I said, my haplogroup is C1b. My family was indigenous. Here it traces back for over 20,000 years. So I think that that's important. And, you know, we already have issues with the government. You know, that's one of the things that me and Fidel and others have spoken on, because, we are, some of us, you know, want to be called, you know, Chicano, which goes back to our roots, because some do not like the label Hispanic and Latino because it connects us to our Latin side, which we know nothing of, other than, you know, speaking the language or whatever. So I just wanted to point that out. So because people are under the impression that they're not indigenous when it's actually the opposite. One day I'll give a history lesson.
my friend in the comments, Isaac is Nawa and Denek and is, you know, indigenous, of course, to Mexico. I don't know if they would want to come up because I'm not that's up to them, of course, but it would be really awesome to hear them speak on that because, of course, I wouldn't want to speak on something that, you know, your community
absolutely can come up.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
The more
knowledge,
I don't know
if you want to, Isaac, but it would be awesome to hear from you. And Isaac has a lot of great knowledge on history, modern culture, and just like food and like all sorts of things.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can you see him, Fidel? Is Fidel here? Sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes it doesn't let me. It'll let Fidel and some of my moderators, but it won't let me bring people up. I'm not sure why.
I'm all new to this. I'm I'm horrible with technology, even though I'm in my 20s. So I totally understand your issues. I'm still figuring it out too.
Did you just call us old? Wait a minute. I'm just playing. I'm joking.
Because I'm an infant that I would know technology, but I'm probably worse than you guys are.
I'm actually very tech savvy, to be honest. I dated a software engineer for 7 years, and my son's a software engineer, so I learned a lot from them. Did Isaac?
Yes.
I just want to say hi. If you wanted to, since you are from Mexico, if you could elaborate more, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so I kind of get what you kind of saying, Callie. Like you want this, like unification between us, and that's a good thing. But it comes to the point of the reality. Like it's not gonna happen no matter how hard it's gonna be. It's not gonna happen because even the Latino community, there is division amongst them. So you can't have this unification between Latinos and indigenous people when you have these same Latinos being anti-indigenous, anti-black, and so many people have speak out about this. So like I get what you're trying to do, but the reality is it's not gonna happen.
It can happen if people want it to happen.
Right? I hate negative Nancy's, no offense, but
Right. If you don't
so
want it to
drives me
happen,
crazy.
it's not going to happen.
So
You got to look at it.
So here's the thing, it is happening, right? So when you see a group of people that are reconnecting back to their indigenous roots and they are also educating. Do you know that we have people that don't even, I'm in a group, I've spoken on this before and on Facebook, and the reason why they asked me to come in this group is because unfortunately some of my Spaniard ancestors are like historical figures. So they asked me to go in this group, and the first thing I notice is they some of them didn't even realize that they have indigenous roots. They are so proud of those freaking conquistadors and their Spaniard side. And I've even asked a couple of them, why don't you take a DNA test? And a couple of them did. And then they're like, oh, they didn't even I don't know if they thought they were 100% the Spaniards aren't even 100% Spaniard, but they don't know their history, which is unfortunate. And I think that's part of this thing that is going on in the community, right? Some don't even realize that they have indigenous roots, because once you realize that, how are you going to go against indigenous people when you're indigenous yourself? So I think part of it is educating, and then, like I said, there's already a movement of Latinos getting in touch with their indigenous side. And once that movement continues to grow, then you're going to see, I think, a different, I guess, interaction between those who are, in the pueblos and then, those who are Latino. But that's just me. I'm an optimistic person. So.
All right.
But here's the thing. Oh wait, go ahead. Y'all can go ahead.
I'm sorry, Isaac. Actually, I'm kind of on your side. So I'm going to invoke Robert's Rule of Order, and I'll second what Isaac said. The reason that I'm seconding what Isaac said is because I think that the point that they were trying to make was that it puts a bad taste in many mixed people's minds and mouths when we're trying to reconnect, and there's so much hate that many times and like I said, I mean mixed people. I'm not necessarily speaking on Mexican Americans or Black Americans or anybody. But a lot of the times we'll see the tropes of white supremacy or hear white supremacist rhetoric, and that's the colonization that everybody's already been speaking on. So it's not like I'm throwing out something new. But we'll hear that and we'll shy away from it. So even if it means giving up, I'll never put on another one of my children's birth certificates that they're native. I will never again do that, because I know the struggles that we've had, and while I am thankful for ICWA, it negatively impacted my family. So I think that Isaac's point is very much valid in that a lot of times we'll shy away from getting back to our native roots
Can
because
you
of the hate that we face.
can you elaborate a little bit more of like the impact that it had on your family? Because
So one of my children, like I literally had court earlier today. We're trying to get her back from the state of Florida. One of my children is in medical foster care. She's been there basically since birth. She spent 9 months in the NICU. Then it was proposed that she be returned to the local Seminole tribe, which by the way is like 425 miles from our hometown. It would have been easier to send her to, like I had said before, the Porch Creek tribe, which also falls under Seminole. But because of state lines in Florida, it's just a bunch of bullshit. But we're fighting still to this day, and my daughter is 6, to get my daughter back home. So I think that a lot of times, people who have experienced things like myself, or people who have experienced things like what Isaac had brought up, will just stick to the communities that accept them versus trying to push back that, okay, like
Right.
this is.
And Corey, I just want to say thank you for speaking on that and going into detail, because I know like that's really a vulnerable topic. And I appreciate you doing that because it validates my experience. I was a foster child separated from my mom for a period of time, like a long part of my life. And then they wouldn't let her see me. They gave me to my YT supremacist father. And so like I was fighting most of my life until I was like 8 or 9 to get back with my community and with my mom, you know? And so I appreciate you sharing your struggles with us here and giving voice to these issues, and then also like connecting it to the topic, because like all of these things, even though they all come together, right? And so it's important talking about these issues.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate you understanding where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah, my family also faced discrimination. My grandpa on my mom's side, he's from Guatemala, and when he migrated to the U.S., he faced discrimination from like all sides. Even from the Latino community, they call him pinche indio and all this BS, you know, like, and he would tell me stories about it. Like, it's sad, but he would tell me. And when I was little, I knew my ethnic side, but on my Namak side, I questioned him because at times he would speak Spanish and Nawak at the same time. So I was like, I was telling him, I was like, what language are you speaking? Because that don't sound like Spanish. And that's when he told me everything. And then when he saw me try to learn as a little kid, try to learn our history and our culture, he took interest in that and started teaching me everything.
oh, that's cool. Well, Spanish has Nahuatl mixed in it.
Yeah, but what I mean is like he will speak a full sentence and all.
Oh, you mean he would just go into
Right, code meshing. Yeah, when you
Oh.
bring multiple languages
like
together.
sort of like
Yeah.
Spanglish, but
Yeah.
okay, interesting.
Deadly truth teller. Let's see your beadwork. Let's see what you're working on.
So
An earring? Pair of earrings?
So
Ah, those are cool.
so far, this one I'm gonna do dark blue and then the black.
Uh-huh.
How much? How much?
I'm just getting started, so I haven't decided yet.
You could just gift it to me.
I might.
It's
Well, we
nice.
gotta support our indigenous artisans.
So I'm gonna ask
Make something and I'll
Fidel,
like pay her.
since he's Latino too. So
Oh, yeah.
Fidel, do you find, because we were speaking on this on another live, because it's been hard to, I guess, to connect, our brothers and sisters that aren't, that have tribal affiliation. And we kind of started just sticking to working on our group as a Latino group. Do you feel like there's a future where we can work with them, or do you think that it's better that we just work on our Latino people?
Well, I think because let's remember, it's this whole decolonized movement, I guess if you want to call it, it's really coming from it's it's coming from the indigenous community, right? Coming towards the Latino community. So we're just kind of like, like me, I'm just trying to like figure out what's going on with this whole reconnecting thing, and just trying to listen in. And unfortunately many of these lives end up in arguments, don't really learn that much. But yeah, I think there could be a group of us that can, or those natives that are willing to work with Latinos in whatever way, whether it's politically or socially, economically. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, and then I can also see some natives that might have an issue with that. They don't. I think somebody was saying that they don't think it's a good idea to lump up two groups of people like that. So, that I can see where they're coming from.
Well,
Yeah.
I think my thing was, like for instance, so when I say come together, we talked about this before, but I'm just saying it for those who weren't in our lives. So when I say come together, like for instance, let's say if there is something an issue that is going to affect those who are on tribal land, right? And you needed our vote, right, to help you guys, whatever that is, whatever that issue is, we could come to, our community and we can go, oh, well, let's rally up, our people. And because, our brothers and sisters on tribal land needs this vote, needs our help, whatever. So when I say come together, I'm not saying all of us identify as the same. Like I said, I love my community. I don't want to be on tribal land. I don't want to be, anything other than what I am. So, I'm just saying that on important issues or, things where we can kind of help each other. Or I have mentioned before, Clown Horse could tell you, she's been in some of my lives before where, if there's something like we can get the Latino community together to come on some of the reservations and help with something, whatever that something may be. So I'm just saying, when I say come together, I'm speaking of how can we help each other? How can we do that? Has nothing to do with taking anyone's, identity. I wouldn't want you guys to be anything than what you are, so I just wanted to say that quickly, but go ahead, Fidel.
Yeah, again, this whole thing is like it's coming from the indigenous community towards us, so they're kind of reaching out to our, to us and trying to teach us about, about reconnecting to our indigenous roots, and that's all fine. I'm all for that, bringing awareness to that. But I don't know. It's that would be ideal. That would be ideal, right? If all people, if you get a group of Latinos that identify and know they have indigenous roots and they rock with the indigenous, yeah, that would be ideal. That would help out the indigenous community. a lot, adding extra numbers to their cause. But it's kind of tricky because, I mean, you can see lately, right, the disagreements between the Native community and Latinos, right? It's just a lot of disagreements, and to be honest with you, there's just the disagreements are based on just some dumb technicalities. Just whether it's like some natives really hate it that Latinos call themselves Latino, and they can't understand that. And then some Latinos think that reconnecting means having to have to move into a reservation and living in a teepee or something like that, right? I mean, just dumb stuff like that. But somebody in the comment section really quickly, somebody in the comment section said, how do we do that if we don't help our own people? Actually, we do help our people a lot. I mean, there are parts, I mean, like every other community, we're going to have our very poor areas, and it might appear like that, especially if the mainstream media is portraying that. But Latino communities are pretty strong, actually, man. I mean, there's a lot of Latinos that make up California, and California is like the 5th largest economy if it would be its own country. We have banks, we have we own, Hispanics own Power 106 in Los Angeles. I mean, we got a lot of stuff. Yeah, we do help each other out. We practice a lot of group economics. We hire our own people. We do. Actually, we do. And I mean, it would be nice to see that in the indigenous community too, working with the Latinos. I mean, just saying.
Yeah, so someone said be Latino all you want, but just don't try to be indigenous too. Well, we're kind of both.
Well, the thing is that I'm not trying to be indigenous. Like this whole thing is new to me. Like I didn't come to the indigenous community. Like I never even met a North American indigenous person in my life, to be honest with you. I might have, I just maybe thought he was Mexican or something, but I've never met. But no, I don't. I acknowledge that I'm a descendant of Native Americans. I am. Yeah, I mean, I don't pretend to be Native. I never claim to be Native or indigenous. I'm a descendant of natives, and I'm not ashamed of that. Right. And yeah, but I mean, I do identify as Latino or Hispanic or Mexican American.
I don't want to take away from Mesoamerican voices, but just from my perspective, is like Latino identity was constructed as a way to erase Afro and indigenous identity. And it's like Mexico didn't even acknowledge that there were African descendant people in Mexico until like 2016, but then really didn't have representation until this year on the census.
Sir, I'm sorry, but the reason it's not that I like how you guys construct your words, man. Right? It's not that Mexico did it. It's not that Mexico didn't. Hold on. It's not that Mexico didn't acknowledge Afro Mexicans. It's just that there are no divisions. Everybody's a Mexican.
That's not
yes,
true.
It is true.
True. This is
There
the
are
nationalist mentality that I'm talking about.
How do you feel, Fidel, about the idea of
Okay, listen. Are you from the Latino community?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, you're okay. Who said that? Okay, up there. You're Latino.
Yes.
You are Latino. You don't sound and you don't think like a Latino. I'm sorry.
Colorism. You're saying because
no. Where did I mention? Okay, no. Okay, wait a minute. I need you to tell me what was the. Give me the name of the color I mentioned. I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me where is it that I mentioned color? Where did I mention color?
You using terminologies as I don't look or I don't sound is colorist. It's rooted
no, it's not colorist.
So
you know why I said you know why I said do you know the reason why I said you don't Latino? Because most of us Latinos don't think and talk the way you do. That's why. Okay, but you automatically make everything you want to.
Racism.
A lot of you guys are so determined to make everything about race.
Colombia? Have you spent any time in Bahia, Brazil? Like, you don't know because of your inherent bias and colorism. You sound like one of these
No. Cut the bull crap. There's nothing. There's nothing. You know what your problem is? Your inherent weakness.
Okay, can everyone
see, Fidel, your nationalist mentality is showing really bad. Like,
All
Okay,
for
right.
listen.
real
I'm
So
gonna,
bad.
okay. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. Okay. At the end of the day, okay, because it's only native. It's only from people like native that are coming from the native community that are giving us Latinos a lot of issues. Okay. At the end of the day, the
Y'all
Latino
have issues within
identity.
your own community, so
End
what
of
the
the
hell you
day, the
talking about?
Latino
let
and
him
the
finish.
Hispanic community is not going to go anywhere. Do you understand? Now, look. Instead of making friends and allies with Latinos, what you're doing is you're pushing them away.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
I stand us.
All right. So Fidel, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to read to you the definition of colorism. It's prejudice or discrimination against individuals
I don't need you to
with
help
a
me
dark
out.
skin tone, typically among people of the same
Where
ethnic or
did I
racial group.
mention?
He
Okay,
didn't
did I
mention
mention
her. Okay,
color? Did
stop.
I mention
So,
He
color?
did not mention her skin color. He
Callie, he
said
said
that
she doesn't look Latina.
No,
But
he
what
said
does
that she
what a
he
doesn't
said she
Latina look
doesn't
like?
think.
sound. He says
She
she
doesn't
doesn't sound.
sound.
Exactly.
He
So,
said
Right.
so
That's why I
where?
said
How?
I'm
What
trying
color?
to help
Okay,
you
can
out.
can somebody give me the? Can somebody
That's
give me
why
the
I said
color
that
of?
I'm trying to
Okay,
help you
what
out because
color
you made a
is
valid
sound,
point. You
sir?
made a
What
valid point.
color is, sir? What is the color of sound?
You made a valid point, which is why I'm trying
What
to
is
help
the
you out.
color of?
I'm
What
actually
is the
trying to
He
get
color
you
said
of
out of this.
sound?
I'm
he
trying to
said
get you out
first,
of this argument.
Corey,
I'm
first
trying to get you out of this argument,
Corey,
to be honest.
No, you're not going to get me out of anything. I don't need your help. Thank you very much.
first,
What is the color of sound?
first,
Then
first
you've
you
got it and I'm on
stated,
mute.
Oh, okay.
first you,
Listen, look, listen. What is the color of sound? Stop backing him up, bro.
no,
He can speak for
first,
himself. What
first,
sound?
Fidel, you stated you don't look Latino, which doesn't even make sense if you're a no sabo because you would say Latina. And then you said you don't sound Latino, which again don't make sense because if you speak Spanish, you would say Latino.
Dude, like I swear I care what you have to say.
Fidel
I
speaks
think I'm
Spanish, by the
listening to
way.
you.
Well, it's weird. Like, why did you say
Dude,
Latino?
bro,
That
I
doesn't
know,
even make sense.
bro. Why is it that the only ones are from your community, bro? You're not even a full man, bro. Here trying to represent the entire community or something, bro.
No, I
Literally,
just don't
you
like
guys, a lot of you
people.
guys,
I have a
I've
lot of
noticed a lot about
colorism
you guys.
looking like I do,
A
so I
lot of
don't
you
get
guys are
people.
overly emotional, bro. You're
No,
overly
I'm not
emotional, and you
emotional. I'm
bring
being
in your
honest
own
right
issues,
now.
your own
Listen,
emotions, and you try to blanket everybody else's
Fidel,
with
I'm
that.
just being
Okay,
assertive
I'm
and
going to
placing
mute
boundaries.
everyone. Quiet, quiet. Let's do one at a time, please.
I was
Okay,
never
and let's be
finished.
respectful to each other.
I was never finished because a comment was directed towards me.
Okay, so let Deadly speak.
We're telling you as an individual that is harmful towards our community and have been used in the past to separate Afro Latinos from the Latino community. And then let's go back to Afro Mexican. There's literally a whole holiday to celebrate Afro Mexicans because they wasn't being counted as being Mexican. There are too much research on this.
Exactly.
But people still get up here at their big age and keep saying that it's not going on within the community. Come on now.
And the first slave revolt in Mexico
Okay,
was in
so hold on. Let me
1570
respond to that.
in
So
Veracruz.
if these Black Mexicans were recognized, were they being recognized as?
What do you mean were they being recognized as black?
You just said okay. They were recognized as black. Okay, I would have to really
Yes,
look into
black
that
and
myself. I'm
everything.
not
That's what they
just
were
gonna. But
recognized as.
Well, before they
I'm
were,
They
gonna
wasn't
tell you
finally
something.
recognized in Mexico
Hold up,
census until 2015.
hold up. Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna tell you why is it that everybody likes to talk about one particular group of people only, but will not talk about the atrocities their own ancestors did
You were
on the
the
indigenous.
one
what
Afro
Why
about
is it that
ism,
you're always
Fidel?
trying to?
You
Why
what
is it that
about
you're
ism?
always
You
trying to
sound
make?
like a
Is it
white
that a lot of you guys
supremacist,
are always trying to
Fidel.
Can we please let them get a 30?
reporting me right
I
now?
just want to hear
Hold
dialogue
up.
between the two of them.
But he was the one that brung it up. So I don't know why he's getting mad when he brung up Afro Mexicans. Like you're not
I
even.
only want to hear you and him. Like y'all
And the
discuss.
fact that you told me I didn't look or sound. What does that supposed to mean, bro? That didn't sit right. And if anybody wants to agree with that, you're part of the problem too. Because that's a narrative that gets pushed in our community. And I'm tired of hearing it. I have Afro Mexican cousins that are indigenous. And what does that mean
Cousins
to
in
look?
Oaxaca who are Yoruba and Nahuatl.
Can we all just agree that both tortillas and fried bread are good?
They're freaking delicious.
Right, but what about the acorn?
See, we
acorn
can
bread,
come
Steve?
together.
I'm just saying, you know,
Yeah, but I appreciate you.
there's a lot of division amongst the group here, and it's just sitting back and watching and
It's
listening. And
honestly disheartening, to be perfectly honest. Like it's you know, when I see all of this, it just like validates the damage that colonization did, right? Like we are still like treading water, I feel like sometimes, and still going through all of, this, trauma that was like handed down to us because we can't even get along with each other. And I don't get it. Like, I honestly don't get it.
you know, I want to speak on that a little bit.
Oh, sure.
See, I'm from the hills. I'm out here in the boonies, but you know, I don't know. It always seems like there's the ones that bring up these terminologies and divisive ways of thinking, or there's always the ones that want to unify and this and that, I mean, live life. I mean, shoot. I mean, we just had our gathering and my boss came through and he cooked us a pig in the ground because he's Hawaiian. I mean, at the same time, I had my Usos come up because, they're my folks. I mean, my cousin's wife came up and she made us this bomb little dish. It was like squash, tomatoes, corn with some cheese, and it was fire, But I mean, it's just there's got to be a point where where everyone's got to realize, arguing amongst each other about the intricacies and the bullshit that divides us is not going to get us anywhere because we're arguing against an uphill battle against ourselves. I mean, I don't know how better to say it than just, if you don't push your ideology or, your wants on other people, you're not gonna be able to change these people's way of thinking. You're not gonna be able to turn the tide if someone's already set, like this is the way I grew up, if they grew up, inner city Latino, or if they grew up in the country and all they knew was, the immediate folks around. I mean, you're not going to change the environment of people where they come from and the way they think because it's ingrained in them at this point of their life. There's a deeper part of it that you have to acknowledge. I mean, I do understand the want to unify and and then I mean, look at it this way: you want to unify natives and Latino. I mean, against who? You're weaponizing something and pointing it at another person of a different color, and it's a sickness, and people need to realize that because they're preaching it, but then they're falling victim to the same kind of poison. You just gotta live your life. You just gotta. I mean,
Well,
you can't really push
it's
that.
not productive, right? For one, and then the other thing is that we sort of are. I think when we're bickering amongst each other, we're sort of helping them because they want us divided. I do not have a problem with just, helping my community only. But I wanted to extend that since there were so many right now with this movement of, connecting to their indigenous roots, because some do want to be, part of a tribe as well. But like, for instance, we've been having conversations. So my background is I'm a writer and artist. I've also have my foot in the door in the film industry. I've done some television and whatnot. So today I spoke to some of my friends who are in the film industry. I'm trying to get more people who are Latino and indigenous, I shouldn't even use those two because honestly, we're both indigenous. I'm just saying. So my haplogroup's indigenous, your haplogroup's indigenous. So anyway, I thought that we could, work on getting more people into the industry. And the reason why is because that is a very loud voice when you have, people from our communities on television. And it also has to do with representation, right? I know that in our community that people are being seen as, just gangbangers or somebody, cleaning your lawn, so our, children and grandchildren and whatever don't really have, positive, like a doctor or a lawyer or something, to look up to. So that's kind of my goal. And I'm actually working with, I've been speaking to another Latino. I don't know if he's in here or not, but he's trying to help our community as well. He is a software engineer. So he's helping them write code and for only $1 a month. And he's extending that also to, the indigenous community and Black community. So, that's what we're trying to do. And like I said, that, when you have trillions of dollars and those trillions of dollars aren't going back into your own community, there's a problem. So that's why we've been having these lives as well, because we're trying to figure out how do we get that money to go back into our community so we can level up our people and into other areas, so they can be seen and they can be heard. And I will step down so somebody else could speak.
Gamini Loho. My name is Kalala. I'm going by Kalala on this app. Simenya Nambwe. My people are Chorotega from Central America. Got relatives in Chiapas, the Chiapanec people. I'm a reconnecting native, and there's like a lot of things that I want to say, but I think I'm going to limit to just responding to Kali. I just want to let you know for like the second time that I think saying things like Latinos and indigenous people need to come together is like overly simplistic, because the Latino identity is literally a homogenizing identity in the United States. And then when we go to our like individual countries in quote Latin America, what we have is the mestizo identity, and the white identity is actually the oppressor, right? And so for Latinos, or whatever it is, whatever nationality you want, to come together with Native people, first you have to stop the cycle of privilege, and first you got to stop being anti-Black. You got to stop being anti-Indigenous. Like, that's why we can't come together, because of how the identities allot you all of this privilege over, and all this ability to enjoy the social superiority. That's why we can't come together. It's not Indigenous people's fault. And I don't think that is fair to ask Indigenous people to understand where you're coming from, because Indigenous people have to live the reality that what you look like and what your background is imposes on them and on their sovereignty. So it's not a two-way street. It's a decolonize and unpack the privilege and divest from
Oh,
that.
and I also want to add on to that. In what she said is right, because a lot of y'all want to come to our spaces. So when you want to come to our spaces, you're going to have to listen. That's the part of reconnecting. That's the part of y'all trying to, you just unifying with us. If you're trying to come to our spaces, at least understand us first before y'all start speaking over us.
Yeah. Let me make something clear, dude. We're not coming to your spaces, man. We're actually all these conversations that we're having is
You didn't get what I was
hold on. Let me
saying.
say something. Hold on. All these conversations we're having is because the native
Why do you take
community
that as a
are the
personal
ones that have
attack?
been coming to our to our spaces. So I just want to
Why
make that clear.
did you take that as a personal attack, Striker?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Like, why did you think that was an attack on you?
Who said? But where did you get this idea that that's what I was thinking?
Because you responded in a defensive way.
I mean, I'm sorry if you took it that way, but I just want to make. I'm sorry if that's just the way I talk. I'm sorry. Don't get intimidated. I won't
He
bite it. I
absolutely took it
promise
that
you.
way.
Listen,
So
Corey, you're soft, man. Just be quiet, Corey. Listen, Isaac,
soft,
listen, don't, Isaac, listen, man.
superior?
That's just the
I'm
way I
soft
talk.
or I'm
I
superior?
don't mean to
Because
come
you
off
said
across in a way
something.
where I intimidate you. I apologize,
You
but
said
just
something
know that I'm
homophobic
not
earlier
attacking you or
when
anything
you
like that.
asked. You said something homophobic earlier when you said, "What was it? Does he wipe your ass or does he hold it?"
Okay, well, listen, man. Listen. Okay, so what?
Right?
What are you gonna do? You're gonna
So,
crucify me? What are you gonna do?
Right, let's
so
not fight. Let's not fight. Let's not fight. Let's be
I'm not
respectful.
trying to fight, but
You're like the owner of
what
this
I am gonna ask
So
is that
let's not fight. Let's be respectful and one at a time, please.
Jesus Christ, man.
what I am
So
gonna
let,
ask.
Can we have
so
a conversation, like just a regular conversation, and it's okay if somebody says something
But
that's
yet
not
you
too
go
nice?
to yelling, though.
so
You go
let
to
me.
Who's
yelling.
homophobic? Who's being homophobic? Who?
I want to say something to address her. So I don't know if you're under the impression. First off, I'm very brown. If you saw me in person, I'm very brown. Most likely, maybe even darker than you. So let's talk about how we too have to deal with stuff. I had a 6-foot cross burned in my yard as a child. My son's father did not raise my child because my son's father happened to be Caucasian. His family hated the idea that my child has Mexican blood running to his veins. So he grew up without a father. I was called the N-word growing up. I was called a spit growing up. So the fact that you think that somehow we are navigating the world on some kind of privilege is hilarious to me. Now, there may be some that, that look more
But that's
like me. I'm not done.
okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. There might be some of us, that are lighter skinned and they were able to do that. But it's not all of us. And even the lighter skinned ones, as soon as they open their mouth and they have some sort of accent, they're already targeted. I know that because I have done over the phone conversations for my job and people did not want to speak to me. They literally said, I need to get an American on the phone. First off, I was born in California. As far as I know, I'm American. But I even deal with it over the phone. And I don't even have that big of an accent. So trust me, we deal with our own stuff. And I hate, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be very blunt. I hate when your community keeps saying, well, you gotta understand from our point, because I'm going to say it again and until I die, I guess. No, we have to understand each other. Right? Because we also deal with another kind of criticism. Like I had mentioned earlier, we've got our people that are being targeted every single day. That some of our street vendors are out here. I just watched another video of a guy that just toppled over his tables and came at him. Another one got stuff thrown on her. They're dealing with every single day. So I just drives me crazy when we got one group of people acting like, they are dealing with more stuff than we are. We're both dealing with stuff. We're just dealing with different stuff. So
We can't see that you have privilege over indigenous people in the US and in Mexico is actually part of the problem. Part of the reason you're not understanding a lot of the things that we're saying is because you're not looking at what we're saying. And so it's like, I'm gonna give you an example, and hopefully this will help you kind of get what I'm saying. You know how have you ever been in a conversation with white people about racism, and then the white person you're speaking to, let's say her name is Kelly McGregor, and she's like, oh, you know what? We're actually Scottish, and when we came to this country, we experienced the exact same thing you experienced. And you're like, girl, that's not even what I'm talking about. You have no idea what we're talking about. That's privilege. That Kelly, that mythical Kelly that I just made up, doesn't understand where you're coming from and wants to make her reality like yours in order to understand you, but she's missing something. She's missing the racism piece. She's missing the immigration piece, the xenophobia piece, the language stuff that you're talking about. The same thing that Kelly's doing, you're doing, because there's a level of you that you don't see what indigenous people are saying, both native people from Mexico and native people from the US and Canada, which is that mestizaje allowed you, a Latina or a Chicana, to have privilege, and part of the identity that you hold today, the Latino, Chicano, Mexicano identity, is actually rooted in deep anti-indigenous sentiment, and it perpetuates and is rooted in anti-blackness. And that's what needs to get unpacked.
I thought
No,
I
it's
just
not.
explained
No, it's not,
that I
because
dealt with racism all my
Kelly,
life.
can I say
I guess
something
you
really
missed
fast?
that.
Can I say something? That's not true, because the Latinos, all the Latinos that are here in the comment section and on the panel, we don't have anti-native sentiments.
Boy, do you speak for the whole Latino community?
Okay, I'm saying the ones that are here in the comments. Look, I need you to learn how to listen, Isaac. I said the ones in the comments section and on the
Talking
panel.
to him that way.
Do you understand?
You don't need to be talking to him that way.
I'm going to talk because I'm free to do so, and nobody is going to tell me. Nobody is going to tell me how I should express myself. If you want to be a tyrant with somebody, if you're a tyrant in your home and you command people not to speak a certain way, that is in your home.
I don't care.
Okay, but you're not going to tell me how to express myself.
Anti-black.
Okay, can we stop every time somebody disagrees with somebody and then saying it's anti-indigenous or anti-black? You can just disagree.
It's not about
with
that.
someone.
It's about his privilege and how he is talking down to
Can you please tell me what privilege? Can you please tell me what privilege I have?
Indigenous people on the panel. Stop it.
I do that to everybody, okay? So spare me with that, okay? I'm gonna wait here until you tell me what. I need you to tell me what my privileges are.
Striker, can we tell you?
The fact that you can sit up here as a man and tell an Afro-Latino they don't look Latino, that's a privilege.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I think we covered this already, and you obviously have trouble with understanding. I said you don't sound. I said you don't sound, and you don't talk like a Latino. I said, all right. I think so. Let's get it right. Well, let's get it right. I said you don't sound and you don't talk to a Latino. Okay, stop trying to victimize yourself.
So
he did say sound. I didn't hear him say look.
Miss Callie, may I address your point from earlier?
Yes, you may.
Didn't apologize.
Yes, you may.
I'm not going to apologize to nobody.
Up in here.
Okay. Okay. Let's.
Children. So when you were giving your example of how you experienced different forms of racism growing up, I think that the part that came across as disingenuous to Passion Fruit and a few other members of your audience was the fact that that was not your everyday experience. So in saying that, what I'm saying is that the Black experience or the Negro experience, right, is something that's lived every day. That's something that we can't turn away from. So to say that you hate that our community acts as though we experience something so much more than any other group is extremely disingenuous, and it would be ignorant to perpetuate thoughts like that. So, and I, when I say this, I swear to God, I mean it with the most respect, because like through this conversation, I've learned to respect you, right? So I'm not taking any shots at you, but I think that's the frustration that a couple members of your panel are experiencing, and we're telling you that how you, it's basically like all lives matter. The rhetoric that you're pushing when you say that you think that people should just get past it and come together, this, that, the third. We can't get past anything without first addressing it. You get what I'm saying? So there has to be an understanding on the more privileged group, the people who benefited from white supremacy. We're not going to call it anti-blackness. We're going to say white supremacy or colonization. I think that your live originally was about colonization and how it affected our communities today. And if so, then you're on the same page as everybody else, but you're not saying it actively.
So I'm trying to be tactful. I told you I'm not good at this.
You can
No, I can't, because everyone gets offended. So except for Fidel, he would be offended. So the reason why I said that, and if you would listen to what I said closely, I said that we are all dealing with something differently, right? My experience is going to be different than your experience, but we both are experiencing things. We are just experiencing them very differently. So I don't know what part was missed in that. And the fact that you think that somehow I deal with racism every once in a while, especially when I just told you that my son grew up without a father because of it. No, I deal with, every time I look at my son, I deal with it every freaking day. So
I get your point. I was just expressing the frustration that a couple members of your panel had.
I know. But then it goes back to what I said before, that we usually have the indigenous community saying, you need to understand us, while they are not trying to understand us. And I keep going back, and I'm going to repeat this until everyone gets it. I keep saying, no, it's going to take all of us understanding each other, us understanding you, you understanding us. It isn't a one-sided street. If you want it to be a one-sided street, then then everyone just needs to drop, because we have nothing further to talk about. I'm saying that we need to understand each other. And the only way we can do that is if both parties are taking the time to step back to understand, just like I had just expressed myself, and the first person that came up was talking about, oh, but your privilege. My privilege?
Okay,
I just raised a son by myself. What?
Please,
her point was still valid. Her point was still valid in the fact of it's still white supremacy. So let's take this to a white black level, and just bear with me for just a moment as I take you down this trip. But if in fact we're supposed to recognize both sides of the street, right? What oppression or what pain has white America gone through, or white benefiting America gone through, that the opposite side would need to empathize with?
Well, what about you? What have you gone through, Corey?
Bro, I literally told you that my daughter was part of the equal removal of children, right? What I didn't tell you is that the first time that I was called a nigger and spit on, I was 6 years old. I was on a bus for a Christian school,
Corey,
right?
Corey,
So
I went through the same
asked
thing
me
too.
what I've
You weren't,
experienced.
Corey,
I also grew up in Pensacola, which I told you. is part of the Deep South. It's actually part of the Bible Belt. We have the most churches per capita in any city in America. My city is also the oldest, founded in 1558. That's something else that I told you. So when I tell you that I live in the deepest of South and I experience the most racism that probably anybody on this panel experiences, bro, please, let's not be diminutive.
Can I tell
Okay,
you
hold on.
something,
Let me say something really fast. Okay, man. That's really too bad. You might want to consider moving, but I'll tell you something. You're not the only one that has gone through racism. I've actually lived racism, and I experienced it from
Is that your
whites.
everyday experience?
Excuse me. I
What does your
experienced it from
license
whites.
What
I
does your
experienced from.
license
Okay.
say?
You're going to stop interrupting me. You
Bro, you
understand?
literally interrupted
You're
me
gonna
while I was
stop me.
talking.
Okay, you're gonna shut up. You're gonna
Am I
shut
going
up
to?
because you're doing this.
Am I
You're
going
doing
to?
this on purpose
Are
because
you
you're
sure
trying
that
to
I'm going
derail.
to?
You're trying to derail my train
Are
of
you
thought.
positive
You're a
that I'm going
coward.
to?
You're a
Are you
freaking
sure
coward,
that
Corey.
I'm
Shut
going
the
to?
hell up, Corey.
Corey?
And
Let
have
him
I
finish,
shut up
though.
yet?
You spoke. Let him finish.
Corey, if
Did
you
I
speak, I'm gonna
finish?
boot your ass
Did
off if
I
you don't
finish?
shut up, Corey.
Oh, I'm so scared, friend.
Yeah, but
I'm
anyways,
very
listen,
scared.
listen.
Okay, buddy, I'll listen to you.
All right, listen. You're not
You
the
don't
only
like when
one
people
that's
play
gone
your
through
game and people
experience.
talk over you. You feel disrespected, and a couple members of the panel have said that tonight. They hate when you speak over them.
Okay, anyways, man, like I was saying, Corey, because I know you want to leave it at that, where you're Mr. Oh, poor Mr. Victim. I, like many other people, have
I'm
suffered
really
through
not
racism too.
or victim.
I've also,
I'm
Him,
actually
Corey. Please
I'm an
stop. So
Corey,
industrious
that
can
we're
you
just
shut the hell up,
interrupting him.
Corey?
Just stop, please.
so he gets.
Yeah, so anyways, I've suffered racism by whites, by a lot of African Americans, and shit, even my own people. So you're not the only one. And I was a kid too. And I know a lot of other Latinos who have suffered racism by blacks, a lot of African Americans to this very day, a lot of white people, and even my own people too. So you're not the only one on this train, Corey.
You know what?
But how you gonna ask him a question? He try to explain it, then you continue to talk over him, and
I
then
already no. I already know what Corey's gonna say.
Corey
Okay,
was speaking over
Corey's
him.
just here.
Corey
Corey's
was
just
speaking.
Doing it
here to
now,
paint a
though.
picture that he's the
Y'all doing it
biggest
to her.
victim here.
Okay,
Can
but
I say something?
Corey,
That's in
can
him.
I tell you something, Corey?
Okay, let Heidi talk. She hasn't spoken yet.
You know, Corey, I'm going to tell you something. There's something I know that you said. Well, it's like when white people do this to black people, but this is the thing. In Latin America, it's not like that. In Latin America, it's not like the African Americans over there, the Chinese Americans over here, the Japanese Americans there, the I don't know, freaking Italian Americans there. It's not like that in Latin America. Many different, and I will speak for Mexico because that's what I know. And I don't, as a Mexican, I'm not going to speak on Central America because I can't tell you about Central America. That's not where I came from.
Heidi, you're
So I'll speak
correct.
on Mexico.
You're correct.
So
You are correct.
what I'm going to tell you is that in Mexico, 1800s, we had Jewish people go in, we had Italian people go in and mix with the indigenous people there. Then we had Lebanese people go in, we had Germans, we had Jewish, we had Indians from India, we had Chinese, we have Koreans, okay? And they've all mixed and we've all became one, right? The one thing that most Mexicans, and I dare to say like a 95% of Mexicans have a pride of their indigenous ancestry. It's what they teach in school. It's part of their patriotic culture. Now, I'm not going to tell you that racism doesn't exist. There's more classism in Mexico. However, classism in Mexico gets confused with racism. Okay. Nonetheless, so when you say, oh, it's like when a white woman tells a black guy, it's not, because we're family, we're related. Us Mexicans, the mixed ones, we are related to the indigenous people. See, an African American may not. I mean,
I've never spoken on Mexican issues, right? And I'm going to say that you are correct. As somebody who resided in Michoacan for 2 years, I can absolutely agree with what you said. Now, that's something else that you all didn't know about me, and I'm sure Fidel already knew that I was going to say that. But Heidi, you are correct. I'm not going to sit here and debate with you about Mexico because I don't live in Mexico. But what we were talking about was American issues. Callie said that she was born in California. So as far as she knows, she is American. So that would be the only thing that I would be addressing Callie about would be American issues.
And Corey, I understand when you had, so I'm from California, but I have lived in Kentucky, Florida, Texas, Kansas. I've lived in Ohio. I've lived in multiple states.
I'm not trying to take that from you.
So no, what I'm saying
but
is
we're all talking about
I understand the mentality that you've had to deal with because it is very different from the mentality in California. That matter of fact, it was the south of where I had a cross burned in my yard as a child. So I understand, what you have to go through because that mentality is very backwards and very different in the South.
Lady,
Just
if you want to go, Corey.
No, I was just telling Callie, I get it. And, for that, I can amend my previous statement and, and say, okay, maybe I am being close-minded by saying that you don't know or that you're not experiencing this every day. Yeah, maybe I am being close-minded because I really don't know you, Callie. You know what I mean? But just as a general term, I think that's where the frustration was coming from because a lot of us don't know you, Callie.
Can I say something?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm just a quiet listener, observer, and so far everyone in this panel that's speaking, it's a comparison of tragedy and atrocity, and this happened here. It's happened to everyone. I mean, it doesn't matter which ethnicity you come from. There's always a legacy of hate and being put down and made to be less than others around you. I mean, in the beginning, when I first found this live, it was about reconnecting people with some roots that it seemed like there was people here that wanted to find themselves, a part of themselves that they didn't know about. And now it's just dissolved into, who's got the worst story, and it's dissolving, and it's not about that, it should be more about, point them in the right direction, point them to where they'll find themselves. It's gone so far from the original talking point that it's just everyone arguing and everyone's arguing in circles. And I mean, it doesn't matter if it's America, South America, Canada. I mean, if you go to other countries, I'm sure it's there. I mean, Middle East, Africa. I mean, there's always a story of the downtrodden and the privileged, and arguing that point is null and void because everyone's experienced it on some kind of level. And on a panel of being progressive and assisting one another, it's just getting nowhere. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to be on here and to speak. But it's a forever, never-ending circle that just always rotates back into a pissing contest. And I'll make sure to come check in again. See if there's a different subject. But I think it takes a long look at yourself before you can start speaking about someone else's identity and their culture and their community. You can't compare yourself to someone else's because it's not the same, no matter where you're from. The Latino community is going to be different than the indigenous community. The mixed race is going to be different than someone who was born and raised with only people of their own nationality. You know, it's just when is going to get past the point of mine, and when is it going to become a point of helping each other? You know, and I think that's what this was supposed to be all about in the beginning, but it's just all from there. And so I'm going to excuse myself. Thank you.
Thank you, babes. You actually said it better than I did. That's what I was trying to say, that we are all dealing with it, right? We're just dealing with it. We're dealing with stuff differently, but we all are dealing with it, you know, in all of our communities. I don't know what the solution is, honestly. Like every time I bring up these topics, that's why like Fidel and Heidi and I have been like recently we've been more focused just on our community and the film industry and stuff, because every time that I do open it up, it ends up being this back and forth thing, and when we are discussing other topics, it seems to go more smoothly. I don't know what the solution is.
Just tackling the mestizo and Latino privilege, because for as much as I can identify with what Heidi's saying about the national identity and all that stuff, like people are, like indigenous people are set on fire in school in Mexico, and it's not because it's like la unidad. It's because
I want to Google it. What part in Mexico?
The little boy that was set on fire for being Otomi.
Yeah, but that was
What part?
I mean, that was one case though.
No, I want to know what part in Mexico.
I can't even believe I'm talking to you, but Heidi, so that was in the news. It's in the comment section. Danielle is talking about it, and I was going to bring it up before. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that you don't have indigenous heritage and that you can't be proud of that. What I'm saying is that your national identity, just like the identity, supuestamente the Latino identity, just like the mestizo identity, all of those are built on the backs of Native people.
How so?
All of those enjoy a social position in our cultures, in our communities, over indigenous people. And indigenous people, pueblos originarios, are being violented and abused and extracted from all the time. And it's not by white people. It's by people who, like you, claim that they're proud of their indigenous heritage.
I disagree really fast, because you're saying that it's people like her. I don't. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna answer anyways. You're saying that it's because of people like her, right? How do you know those people are like her? I'm just curious. How do you know?
I feel like you're taking it a little too literal in saying that she's actively participating in things like that.
No. I mean, and I also would like to know what privilege do we mestizos have? Like, I don't understand. I'm really trying to learn. So if you can please tell me.
Can I recommend that you actively do participate in blissful ignorance, and not being aware of the like grotesque things that do happen to indigenous people on Mexican soil?
Okay,
I never said I didn't acknowledge that.
It's more the fact that it's coming from your people.
Okay,
well,
but what about?
I'm not done like expressing what I wanted to say. I was born in Mexico, and I think it's rather. I think it's kind of crazy that
I wanted to get that part out. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I find that kind of dumb, whether I was or wasn't. Does that mean that someone else who wasn't born there, their voice doesn't matter on something like this?
Yeah, because
I live literally 30 minutes from Mexico. I'm telling you right now that y'all live in blissful ignorance and choosing to ignore.
I'm in Mexico right now. I'm in Mexico like every other day. I grew up on both sides of the border. I grew up in San Diego, California, and in Tijuana, California. I'll tell you what I've experienced. I went to Cancun.
Your personal experience does not It's not the experience of everyone else's. I don't know why y'all keep talking about it.
But
So then
isn't
your
that what you're
personal
doing too, though?
experience.
No, I'm not talking
And
about my
her personal
experiences. I'm talking about the
You
large
literally just said,
percentages.
I'm from the border, blah, blah, blah. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to address something, okay? Kalala, I want to tell you, I appreciate what you said, okay? But I want to ask you to stick to speaking about
No,
your
Corey, nobody can finish their
not
point,
Mexico.
just them.
And this is why, okay? Because Mexico, every single state is different. For example, Mayans in Mexico, a lot of them go to universities. A lot of the every time you go and visit Teotihuacan in Cancun, the Mayans make a cut out of it. Okay, so I often in these lives. Can you let me finish though? In these
No, because you're not even letting anyone else finish. Like I didn't even get to finish what I needed to say.
Okay, well let me finish and then you can go next. So what I'm saying, Kalala, that Mexicans do not know that. So you, as a person who comes from Central American, you can't come and tell Mexicans what happens in Mexico. Okay, like let that be figured out amongst Mexicans.
What you don't understand,
Okay, well, it's Mexican people that are talking about the situations that are going on in the news. It's the Mexican people saying this.
Well, you know what else
I don't.
goes on the news? You want to know what else goes on the news? That if you come to Tijuana, Mexico, you're going to get killed because there's crime. Do you want me to step outside so we can go find crime? Because we're not going to find any. Okay? So we can't believe American news because American news.
I'm not talking about American news. All my news is coming from Mexico and the Mexican people.
All right. Okay. So I'm in Tijuana. I haven't seen that news. So send that news over to me. Now, let me tell you
doesn't mean anything.
okay? I'm not denying that there's been misplacement of like land, indigenous land in Mexico where they throw them off because they want to use.
You're very quick to dismiss it, though. You're very quick to jump and dismiss it and wanting proof.
You're not even letting me finish. Let me finish.
You don't need to yell.
Glitter, you need to be respectful. Let her finish.
You don't respect
the hypocrisy, I swear.
Once you allow me to finish my sentence, then you can tell me what. And even then, you're not God. You can't tell me what I think, okay, or what I feel. With that being said, because due to greedy people in Mexico who have said, you know what, I want that piece of land, and they misplace indigenous people, that has happened, and that is fucking wrong. And every Mexican should stand against it. And you know what? When my grandma saw that, because my grandma did see that, she was really upset. Okay, she was really upset. She was trying to help out the indigenous people. Most Mexicans become very upset when that happens. Okay, that's something that you guys don't know. Another thing is that indigenous people do not go and say, oh, you're a mixed Mexican and I don't like you. That's not what they say. As a matter of fact, they like mixed Mexicans. And yes, I hear you guys promoting on these lives often. Oh, but they live up in the mountains and in rural areas. You know what? I met Mayans, and Mayans told me I go to university, but we still like to live in our huts because it's part of our culture. And we don't like to live in the city. So there's that aspect of things, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't get clean water. They should. And therefore, we should help them. But how are we going to help them if you guys, the Americanized ones over here, want to act like we're just enemies? Then we're never going to get to the solution.
Americanized.
Calmate.
You are American.
Girl.
You can go and cry about it now because I know you love to play victim.
Oh, okay. That's not necessary. But let me ask you this then, Heidi. So because I'm Central American and you say I probably don't have a good footing in criticizing Mexico and talking about Mexican identity, right? Let me ask you this then, because I want you to elucidate me. So in Mexico, in Mexican society, not in the politics, but in Mexican society, do indigenous people enjoy the same level of respect as mestizos and as blancos?
From who? Respect from who?
It should just be
respect from who?
Hold on, let me answer this. So, okay, try to find you the pictures right now. So my grandfather. Hold on. Let me finish. So my grandfather.
Glitter, you're very rude, Glitter.
Pero es que siempre que les hago unas preguntas es una...
Glitter, Glitter, do you know how to respect? Just shut your mouth.
You don't know how to... You shut
Ooh,
your mouth.
why are you talking to women like that?
Just shut up.
Why are you talking to women like that?
Let's be respectful. Let's be respectful.
Boy, I ain't no pussy.
You literally, that's
have you heard yourself talk? Trust me, you are.
What I can tell you
once again with the frickin' homophobic comments.
Oh God, spare me with that bullshit.
Okay,
the moderator.
So from my mom's side, everybody's very, very mixed. Okay, from my father's side, my grandfather is an indigenous man who spoke a dialect. With that being said, I have cousins in that family who are indigenous and speak an indigenous language. Okay, from my dad's family, you're either extremely white or you look indigenous. And the ones that look indigenous is because they are indigenous and they speak the indigenous language. With that being said, hold on. With that being said, they are the richest cousins I have.
Mm-hmm.
The wealthiest cousins that I have are the indigenous cousins.
Okay.
My indigenous cousin, who is a female, she studied lenguas prehispánicas in Guadalajara, Mexico. And
what language is
extremely educated.
Heidi, what language do they speak? Do your cousins speak on that side of your family, please?
I'm not gonna say it because then it's gonna get into all this stuff. Oh, but one indigenous and blah blah. I'm not gonna say it.
Okay,
this is my family. I can show you a picture. That's the most I can do.
I think that's kind of disingenuous, but that's okay if you feel like you want to.
I think what's disingenuous is that you're trying to come into a Mexican live and speak about Mexico. Speak about Central America. Tell me about Central America. Right there, you can teach me because that's where your family's from. That's where you're from. That's the culture that you know.
So, in your opinion, I can't speak on Mexico.
Absolutely
not. No, we're allowed to speak on anything that is part of our ancestry and our culture, whether they like it or not, and they can kiss my ass.
Exactly. Same here.
In Mexico is different.
So let me tell you something.
Because every single state in Mexico is different. Even us Mexicans do not know or understand everything in Mexico. There's Mexicans here on this live that don't know that Mexicans in the peninsula eat black beans, yuca, and white rice. So how are you from another country how are you gonna come and teach us about Mexico? You can't do that.
You don't even know you just fucking contradicted yourself by saying you don't even know everything even though you're like in Mexico. So like
Exactly.
I've been studying for the longest time. I can probably tell you far more about Mexico than you can like tell me.
No.
Oh, somebody kicked them off for being disrespectful, hopefully.
No, seriously, because the way he speaks to women. No. But, no, on a serious note, I find a lot of what is being said very contradicting. You can't tell someone who is born in Mexico, raised in Mexican community, who lives in America, that they can't be out here talking about their fucking motherland. Like, that's ridiculous.
No.
Come on now.
I also find it really ridiculous.
Central America.
It doesn't matter. Heidi, these are borders that sorry, let me tell you something. 1492 happened and then
again, ignorant bliss.
Get
so
divided
do you guys want to maybe be more respectful or I'm going to drop you both?
No, I'll leave. No, fuck this.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I will leave. Bye.
Don't let the door hit you. Goodbye. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
So borders created, they're colonial constructs. So if you say that I can't speak on whatever, you don't have the authority to tell me that I can't speak.
Hey man, so people, the indigenous people are reporting me. They're reporting me, man.
Callie, I'm talking and here he comes.
Let her finish.
Oh, I just walked in here. Okay, all right.
So what I'm saying is you don't have the authority to tell me what I can't speak on, especially when it comes to indigenous issues, especially when you're trying to portray the situation in Mexico like indigenous people aren't treated in generally by the society, let alone the politics, poorly. Okay, because you don't want to disclose what your cousins speak, but let's say they speak Purepecha. Do they get classes taught in Purepecha? Is Purepecha a required class before they graduate high school.
There you go. This is why I don't want you to speak about Mexico, because in Yucatan, Mexico, yes. In Yucatan, Mexico, people actually learn Spanish and a native language.
Okay,
most
sweetie.
people
Perfect.
speak
Great.
Mayan.
Let's stay right there. Yucatan. Okay, great.
And you know what? When you go to a market,
no. You brought up Yucatan.
Hold on. There are places in Yucatan that when you go to a market, things are written in Spanish and in native
Let's
language.
stay in Yucatan. Perfect. Okay, great. You just brought up an example. Okay. Okay. So now I want to ask you, do you know how many languages in Mexico that are indigenous languages are dying? Do you know how many are endangered and dying or have died?
Yeah, well, many, but also Mexico still has. But Mexico also has many, and they're working very hard.
Critically thinking, Heidi. Critically thinking.
No. Don't talk to me.
Critically thinking. Let's just say using our critical thinking.
Think. Let's talk facts. So go ahead and ask me.
Critically thinking. If indigenous languages were just as important, deemed important by Mexican government, Mexican society, would they be dying? The answer is no. The languages are under tremendous cultural pressure.
Can I tell you
that's
something?
That's not our fault, though. That's the government's fault.
Hold on. It's because she's ignorant to the fact that Mexico has been now working very hard, and they're going to implement indigenous languages across the board in all schools, because what they want now is for kids to learn an indigenous language in Spanish. She doesn't know that because she's not Mexican. I know this because I speak to Mexicans in Mexico.
That doesn't mean that there haven't been languages that have died. And the reason that the languages died is because of the social pressures that mestizos and blancos put on indigenous people to abandon their languages. I'm not saying is your personal fault.
So the people who did that was the people who did that were the Spaniards, and they're fucking wrong. Let me tell you something. I just stand out right now.
The most of the indigenous, I'm an indigenous language activist, and I do work in Mexican languages, actually, in Otomangue languages, but that's neither here nor there. The majority of the language death of the indigenous languages, the majority of las lenguas abandonadas that have died have done so in the past century, not in the past 400 years, but since Mexico became an independent nation. In the last 40 years, actually. So, no, that's not the case. It was not the Spaniards doing it. It's Mexicanos and the Mexican state doing it today. Heidi, you can't hide behind this nationalistic.
Halala, this is everyone in Latin America. So this is the problem that I have. That sometimes you have, yes, okay. So, but this is the problem that I have. That sometimes people from Central and South America in El Caribe, they only want to focus on Mexicans. And then to everyone else, Mexicans are the racist. Mexico is the bad guy. When they don't, and then they get the impression that it doesn't happen in the rest of Latin America. And that's also an issue that I have with you guys speaking on us.
That's really deflecting, but if you want to address that, you can't.
It's factual.
But it's deflecting. It doesn't matter if it's factual. It's deflecting from the actual conversation, which is talking about responsibility. It's like gaslighting. See, other people do it.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's clearing up one thing.
So when we get done here with this, we're going to go back and talk about topics that's actually on the board. Let's do that.
Okay. So, it's about clearing that part. Now, I'm going to tell you something. So the Spaniards come to Mexico when? The 1500s, right? Then you do get a period in the 1700s or 1700s when like mestizos, because they're being told that being Spaniard is better, they're kind of leaning more on the privilege on being Spaniard, right? Okay. But then now we have 2023 when Mexicans are very proud of their indigenous culture. And I know it because I've even been on Spanish Lives where Spaniards have come in and said, oh, you guys are Spanish like us. And, you guys are part of us. And Mexicans are like, hell no, we're part of our indigenous people. Oh, no, you guys are part of us because this food belonged to Spain. And they're like, so what?
Heidi,
the corn came from this indigenous group, and this food came from this indigenous group, and this is what we are. And you know what? I've even seen Mexicans,
Heidi,
quote, hold on, quote unquote.
You keep interrupting Heidi. Let her speak.
You're right. You're right.
quote unquote mestizos and indigenous people from Mexico come together and fight off the Spaniards. And this is happening in 2023, okay? Like a TikTok away. I actually just sent them an invite, and I'm asking the indigenous people from Mexico to come to this live, okay? But with that being said, okay, this is 2023. I'm not going to be here, okay, pointing the finger at people for what happened in the 1500s or the 1700s. That's not okay either. Those people are already dead. They're hopefully hell does exist, and they're fucking rotting in hell because what they did is not okay. What
Heidi, and I
I
have
focus on right now is on solutions. What
exactly,
solution? Let's help
exactly,
out the indigenous people in Mexico. Let's help them out in the United States. Let's help them out. You know what we should do? All of us in Latin America, in the Americas, from Canada to Uruguay, we should ask that the indigenous people do not need a passport to travel any of the freaking continent because it belongs to
exactly.
them.
That's what
That's
I'm
what we
saying.
need to focus on.
Exactly, man. Solutions, man. And whatever the thing with the languages, that has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with regular people. We're not going our way and trying to erase Native Americans' languages. Most of us don't even know what's going on. So for her to come over here and say that, oh, it's the people, the Mexican people, and the government. No, dude, it's not the people. You can't blame all the people because most people don't even know what's going on. They're too busy with their own lives.
And no lie, they should, all the indigenous people should be able to walk the Americas, no fucking borders to them. Honestly, that's been the biggest injustice in the Americas, and that's fucked up. And we really need, I don't know. I wish we could freaking push a law from like Canada to Uruguay. And we can do it. And you guys would have every fucking mixed Latino, most like 90% backing you guys on that. You know, but we need to stop fighting, you guys.
But I've seen natives are well, not all, but some natives groups are busy changing the names of football team mascots and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if that helps them in whatever way. Cool, I guess, but I think there's just like more important things to like figure out. You know, I mean, they got that on not Aunt Jemima, the Land O'Lakes girl, Native American girl removed. I mean, I don't know how that helps Native. But I mean, I just think they should focus on something else, man. That's more important. At the very least, you guys could have had Disney change the Pocahontas movie to its original narrative, if you're gonna go that route.
Isaac, do you want to say something because you've been quiet for a while?
Yeah, because once I say something, they're just gonna keep yelling back and forth. So I was just shutting up.
Just have, if everyone could just stay muted so Isaac can speak, please.
I just feel like we're not gonna get nowhere, and obviously this conversation is not getting nowhere between them two because they're still not understanding. But yeah.
I'm sorry, Isaac. I tried. Okay.
So let me ask you guys this. Now when and I'm gonna say this. When you say something like, well, you guys, or you all, which is the Southern term, I'm not even sure why you guys use that. But when you say that, or you say, you know, you guys are coming from a place of privilege, I think a better thing to do would be to say, you know, if we ask you, well, how is it that we can help? You could say that, you know, oh, well, you need to listen to us. But see, then it goes back to what I was saying before. Like, so when there's arguments, it's usually when I bring in the indigenous community. And I hate saying that, but it's the honest truth. Heidi and Fidel could tell you, we've been having like, almost every night, I was gone for a week, but almost every night we get together with the Latino community, and we were trying to figure out how we can, like I said, put money back into our community, get them into like the tech industry, get them into the film industry and other things. And our lives go great. And so with no arguing. But as soon as I like want to talk about togetherness with the indigenous community, it ends up like this every single, it's why I stopped doing it for a while. Because it's like this every single time. So that's what I'm trying to understand, like where is the disconnect? Because all I keep hearing from the indigenous community is you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to understand us, you need to, most of us, I'm going to be honest with you, and I've said this on almost every live, I'm not trying to be a part of your tribe, any of them. I love my community. This is what I grew up with. This is who I am. But I am more than happy to, like, I have skills that I can help other people. I've been doing it for the white tea people. So now I'm like, why am I doing it for them when I can help my own community? So then I flipped the script and said, well, let me reach out, since, there's been people trying to get in touch with their indigenous roots. Let me also invite the indigenous people, right? And see if I can help them as well. But it has been like utter chaos every single time. And so I need to understand, like, where's the disconnect? How is it that we are ever going to get along? Because every time that I say, well, let's see how we can help each other, it's always the indigenous community that says, oh no, well, we are different. We think different. We do this. We understand that. We are all different. We all think different as an individual and even as a group, right? So, I mean, Mexicans are different than Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans are different than Dominicans. We understand that. We get it. We're not part of a tribe, but we get it. And so, I'm just trying to say, like, how can we, extend that olive branch and say, hey, well, because I'm to the point that I'm just like, hey, if you want to come in the live and you want to learn how to get in the film industry, I'm going to have guests here. So be it. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I'm just like really frustrated, if you can't tell, because it ends up like this every single time. And so, and I've been trying to like I said, extend the olive branch and go like, how can we, come together? We're not trying to step on your toes. And like I said, most of us don't want to be a part of, any type of tribe. There might be some that do.
And I respect that. I respect that, Callie.
I'm just saying, how can we, like I said, like if the indigenous community needs us to vote for them, like let's say in the U.S., right? And there's a important thing on the table, but they need more votes to get that approved. Then our Latino community can maybe come together and figure how we could do a grassroots movement and help do that. That's all we're saying. We're not trying to change anyone. We're not trying to invade your space.
Kelly, but we come to your live and you guys treat us like this.
No, nobody's treating you bad. Hold on, let me say something.
Yeah, you
Kelly,
have.
do you think it's possible that we might be talking to the wrong people? Maybe we should, if we really want to help, maybe we should go towards indigenous organizations where people are more open and more reasonable. Maybe the people on TikTok are not the best crowd to talk
to the chiefs.
Exactly, yeah, because I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I think everybody can agree that TikTok is toxic as fuck, and you're gonna find literal insane people, like over emotional people with mental disturbances, and they're gonna try to talk for a whole community. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. I think we're talking to the wrong people.
But here's the thing, you also did your part too of being this toxic that you keep talking about.
Well, listen, man, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude, okay? I'm Isaac, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is just the way I'm used to talking amongst my friends.
Yeah, but here's the thing, when we say something and you don't like, you go to defense mode and you start attacking us.
Okay, do you know, okay, let me explain to you why. Okay, let me explain to you why I do that, Isaac. The reason why I do that is because in the midst of everything that you're saying, there are inaccuracies, inaccuracies that are designed to make us look bad, false narratives. So I'm not going to allow that to, because look, I know how manipulative people can be here. And they're going to keep talking and talking and talking and present a false narrative about someone or something that's not necessarily true. So this is exactly the reason why I do it. I don't mean to be disrespectful. If I sound like that, I guess I'm going to have to apologize then for offending you or whatever with my masculine voice. But this is
wait.
this is just the way we talk, bro.
Can I say something though?
Go ahead.
Fidel, what you don't get is like, this is the second time on a live we had, and you continue to disrespect me every time. And then when I lash out back, y'all shut me up every time. Because I'm defending myself from you, though.
Okay, I understand. It gets a little bit heated.
Can I say
It gets a little bit heated, but bro, come on, man. You're gonna have to learn how to take some shots and roll with them.
Okay, I know that, but
Fidel, that's the thing. When you're trying to like, so if Callie has a live and it's about, let's talk about indigenous issues, and indigenous people get up on the panel and you act like that, that's precisely why it doesn't work. Because please listen, because I haven't been talking to you because you've been so disrespectful.
But you've been interrupting me, but go ahead.
I need you to listen right now, okay? I just need you to stop and listen. There are ways I can't explain this to you, but I'm going to try to. In indigenous community, yes, we have conflict, but it's handled in a way that is, a lot of the time, there's a lot of protocols about respect of speaking to each other, which you don't have. It's not like us. We ask for permission to speak. We introduce ourselves. There's the possibility that we will run into each other. Yes, even in the US, that we will run into each other because we're connected, because we go to each other's events, because we marry each other's family members, even across ethnicities. So when you are in indigenous space, or when you're addressing yourself to indigenous people, you have to understand that part of decolonizing your mind is to stop that toxic behavior that makes you want to attack indigenous people for whatever reason. That's part of what I'm saying is privilege. And now I'm done. Yes, you can.
Okay. Yeah. So nobody's attacking indigenous people. Those are your words. Nobody's attacking indigenous people. I don't have any privilege, and anybody that knows me from other lives, they can tell you that I talk like this in the same manner.
It doesn't matter.
See, there you go interrupting me. But let it be me, right? Let it be me, right? Just be quiet, man. Fuck.
See, look at that. You proving my point.
Shut up, Isaac. Shut up.
You're getting defensive.
Isaac, shut up. Isaac.
Okay, can everyone mute? Let Fidel speak, and then Heidi goes next.
Jesus
and then
Christ. Go take a seat, Isaac.
Have Toxic up here, so I want give them a chance to.
Anyways, man. We really don't. We don't come on these spaces to attack indigenous people. If anything, we're mostly trying to figure out solutions. But unfortunately, we get a bad batch sometimes, right? People that don't really understand our culture, how it works. Now, in regards to us knowing what protocols or whatever to engage in a conversation with natives, I mean, it goes both ways. Just like you're asking us to understand when we come to your spaces, you're coming to our spaces, and at the very least you can do is understand other people, that you're not in an indigenous space, you're amongst other people. And therefore, not just one side is going to tell the other side what to do or how to listen. It has to be everybody, and it has to be respected by all. It's not a one-way street. We're going to respect, and you're going to respect.
But you haven't.
Yes, I have. You haven't.
When? You've been yelling at me,
and that you've been interrupting me.
Let me speak.
Let Isaac speak.
When have you been respectful to me all the times that we jumped on a live together? I still don't remember. I still remember you calling me a damn woman and then proceeded to call me not a full man. I still remember that. And then when I joined this live again, hold up. When I joined this live again, you started getting defensive, started being yelling, and like you just be disrespectful in general. So like you have not been respectful at all. So don't sit here and lie.
Anyways, man, look, dude, you see all this time and energy we
You take
waste
responsibility.
just talking about emotions,
Callie,
who hurt us or whatever. Like, I mean, have we solved anything? I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be on. If this is what it's gonna be like talking with indigenous people, I'm gonna be honest with you. Us Latinos, we don't have an issue with our identity. We are a growing
But you do
population,
have
and
an
we're
issue with
growing, and
understanding how
we're hold
business
on,
is handled.
hold on, and we're growing not only in numbers, we're growing in political power. If we're talking about unity, it's not because it's coming out of us. It's because you guys came to us, and we're willing to try to help in whatever way we can. But us Latinos, we don't have an issue. We're good, and we're just getting more stronger and powerful and bigger by the minute.
But you know what, Fidel? I want us to be careful with saying indigenous people, because to me, there are certain people in this app who claim to be indigenous, but do not represent indigenous people. And I will tell you, when you speak to indigenous people in Mexico, they don't speak the way these people claim that that's the way they speak and feel. When you speak to indigenous people in the United States, they actually say, oh, one really cool thing about Mexico is that,
But have you been to an indigenous community?
Yes, I have. So
Really?
this is
Just one or everybody's?
A lot.
Definitely not.
Did I not explain about my cousin? I mean, were you not here? Okay, so now let me finish, okay? So when you speak to people on a reservation, sometimes, like, they'll tell you the one cool thing about Mexico is that Mexico didn't do the indigenous people like they did in the United States. In the United States, they ushered us away from them and said, here, that's your land. You're not part of the mainstream culture. In Mexico, all indigenous people have a choice whether to live where they want to live or be part of the culture, and they're just considered Mexican. And they praise that, and indigenous people in Mexico, you talk shit about Mexico, they'll gear up and fight for the damn country too, So it's right. There is some misunderstanding, because you have to understand, maybe there's some kind of like loss of identity, maybe some Americanized anger, like white versus black. That's very American, we are the victims and we're gonna go against it. That's very American. Most of the world doesn't function that way, and back in Mexico is not necessarily like that. Are there cases? Yes. Do they need to stop? 100%. With that being said, I do feel that we're speaking to the wrong people. That's why I keep saying, like, I'm gonna go and interview native people in Mexico. I'm trying to see if someone will come. One of them will come. I don't know if he's up though, because it's already 12 a.m.
But here's
because I already sent him a message.
the problem.
Heidi, here's the thing. I want to say something. You give this vibe that saying Mexico don't see race. Like
Literally.
Forget my vibe. Forget my vibe. Does Mexico have racism? Yes. Is it as big as the way we've been?
But that's how you view it. But you're dismissing. You're
Absolutely dismissive.
the racist knowledge that exists, but you're dismissing that Mexico hides it too.
You guys mind if I speak real quick? I don't mean to cut you off, but this is actually very important.
Go ahead.
These two, I've been watching. These two have been talking a whole lot of business circle, I guess you could say. Their mannerism, their choice of words, how they express things, their flip flopping. It's nonstop shit I see in an office. I was actually going to come up here and ask Fidel, do you talk this way when you go into a meeting?
Listen, man, I know what you're trying to do. Spare me, okay? Get to
I
the
ain't
point.
sparing. The point is when you go into a meeting, you don't engage with them how you engage with your friends.
Okay,
You
first of
engage
all,
with them how
this
they
isn't
want
a
you
meeting,
to.
sir. Who told you this is a meeting, bro? And they came to this space here. This isn't a meeting. I don't know who
So
gave you
then
the
it's a
memo,
trap.
but this is not a meeting,
So
sir.
then it's a trap.
Yeah, because we were invited.
It's a trap. Okay, look, I'm not even gonna waste my time with people. It's a trap. What the fuck is this guy talking about traps, man? Man, I'm out of here, bro.
One thing, Isaac, that I have seen too, that I also like look at, and I'm like, this is, a joke. How a lot of people, like right now, and I feel like this is where this like attitude is coming from, right? Because if I claim to be indigenous, then I have this privilege. I'm an indigenous woman, so you can't speak to me this way. I am from this tribe, so you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. Now, I respect the real ones, but one thing about you, Isaac, is that you can't sit here and be like, I respect my elders, and then a Mexican from Mexico tries to tell you, hey, that's not how it is, or an indigenous person from Mexico comes and tells you,
He's
that's
not
not
even
how it is,
indigenous.
and
So
you're
just because
completely
Beto's
disrespectful.
speaking towards me doesn't mean he's
And you are
indigenous. He just
completely
lives in
disrespectful.
Oaxaca. That's it.
Did you know that
He just lives Oaxaca.
Mexico?
He just lives in Oaxaca, girl. Get on to world. Get on to world.
Did you know that an indigenous from Mexico was on the last live telling you what you're saying is not truth, and you were extremely disrespectful to them? You didn't know that, but you have this thing that you think it's okay
come
to
on,
disrespect
you
people
guys.
from Mexico. That's not okay.
What kind of Indians are you? There ain't no fucking Indian in here. You guys are like,
I agree with you.
really
I
good.
think to a certain
What?
extent, if you really look into a lot of these
Why would
people,
you guys
there's
even
some that are
argue?
legit, but a lot are not.
How are you gonna speak on me like you know me, girl? Bye.
Jesus.
Girl, bye. You don't know
Red
me. You don't know what my
Get
community.
out of here. Get Isaac, baby. You put in
Get
so
your
much work
nationalist Mexican
trying to be
mentality onto a girl. Like, just stop.
Isaac, all you want to do is victimize yourself. You have
Girl,
to
I'm not a victim. I'm not victimizing anything.
That's
I'm
all
just
you do.
calling out
Besides
the
of
truth of how you
all
are.
you like to do is play victim.
You
Oh, you said this word and I'm insulted.
Yeah, man.
That's not okay.
you just think
This
Mexico. You just
conversation
think
hasn't gone
women.
anywhere because this conversation hasn't gone anywhere because everybody's too sensitive here.
See, this is what I'm
See,
talking about.
you keep doing that identity thing like you're trying to sell a deal. We're not buying that. Now, you can either have a conversation or you can keep trying to push this narrative.
So
Hold on, who's pushing a narrative here?
let me say something really quick, Fidel. So there's a couple of things that has been brought up that I just want to address. So we keep saying the indigenous community, but we're indigenous too. We're just not. We just don't have the government.
Indigenous descendant.
Yeah, so are you.
I get, but there's a difference between being
But so are
indigenous
you.
descendant versus
Callie,
being part of the community.
the difference is that while Isaac and Isaac's family lives the reality of being oppressed, you don't. And neither do I.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so why? How is okay? Okay,
I was born
how
in
is that
San Luis
anybody's fault
Potosí,
though? How is that
La
anybody's
Huasteca
fault?
region of San Luis Potosí. That's where I was born.
Okay, so why? How is that anybody's fault? Why are you coming to us and saying you don't suffer? You don't suffer as much as he suffers. Why are you telling me this?
You know what we need to do, Kelly? In the next live, let's just bring in indigenous people from Mexico, and then we can try to bring real indigenous people
Girl,
and reservations.
So what you're saying is that we're not real indigenous people.
And then we'll have a conversation with
I
them.
don't know who they think isn't real. Like, I chose to walk away from the tribe.
Literally just said that none of us that are indigenous
all I
in here
know,
are really
Kalala,
indigenous.
I don't know if you are or not. I don't know you. Isaac, I don't know if you are or not.
You said
but
real indigenous people.
Based on the people I have met, I'm probably guessing you're not. You're just faking. Kalala, I don't know you.
Girl, I
The other
am.
guy over here, I don't know any of you, so I can't say. And I don't
I was
judge
born in La
you. I'm
Huasteca
just
region
saying,
of San
I
Luis
don't think
Potosí.
Isaac is.
Does everyone
Debbie,
see
baby,
Think of wits. Think of wits.
I'm just curious.
Think of wits.
I'm here. I'm here.
Hi.
The real indigenous man is here.
What do you think? What do you think about mixed people, descendants of indigenous people? Do you cast them away? Are they the bad guys? Are they your enemies, or are they descendants?
Deadly, just talk.
I'm just trying to.
With biology, or wouldn't they be descendants?
Can you let this?
Huh?
Deadly, just do it.
I'm just trying to figure out how Lily. We were invited on this live. As you can read, it says Taino and different groups. We were nicely invited on this live. Now also went into who's real native and who's not real native.
which is very a European construct.
But y'all doing it though.
No, you're doing it. You're telling.
When I asked the question of that we're indigenous too, your first comment was you're a descendant, right? So you were already separating us from you. And how European of you, by the way.
Well, the big difference is a lot of those people you're talking about don't know their language, their culture, or their history. All they want is to be, when they go out people and see people, they just want to say, oh, I'm indigenous, and show whatever that they have. But the ones that are out here living that lifestyle, we're the ones that we're talking about here.
And people then behave in the same way as the colonizer, and then they just claim indigenous, and they just say, I'm indigenous. But then when it comes to being around other indigenous people, indigenous space, then they just act like a colonizer, talking, insulting, being in this way that we see Heidi and Fidel being.
Oh no,
yeah, no. First, hold on, Heidi. Let me say. First of all, we're not claiming to be indigenous.
Hold on, Fidel. Kalala, the way you're speaking, you're being passive aggressive. That's a way of also minimizing people.
I think everybody
being disrespectful, and you have been doing that. Okay. The only thing I've asked is that you don't speak on Mexico because you're not Mexican. Speak on Central American. I would love to hear about Central America.
And I will not. And I will not honor.
About separating people.
I will not
talk about separating people.
So request. Sorry.
So I think it's interesting that you're not Mexican though, but indigenous people would say, I'm not going to talk on another tribe, right? Because it's not my tribe. But Heidi has asked you multiple times not to speak on her culture, but yeah, you keep speaking on her culture.
Right. But she wants to speak on a whole other country where she's
you want to
not
talk
a
about
descendant
respect.
from. Mm-hmm.
Y'all can't even respect us.
It's a two-way street, buddy.
Yeah, but look at this whole life. Y'all been speaking. Hold on. Let me finish. Y'all been speaking over us. Every time we say something, y'all speak over us.
Every time I try to talk,
no, that's not true because you guys have been doing the same thing to us too.
You and Heidi been yelling at people constantly on this live.
So have you guys. So have you guys. Let's keep it real. Grow a pair, please.
Boy, I have a pair.
Let's be respectful.
I'm bigger than yours.
Let's be respectful.
I think they're inside somewhere else.
Okay, can everyone mute and let Deadly talk, and then Gary can
talk to you guys, but I can't even. Nobody's listening.
Go ahead, Gary.
For real.
Go ahead, Gary.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yay! God damn.
Go ahead, Gary.
Anyways, how are you guys doing?
How are you?
This is how you guys are supposed to be. Talk to each other. Talk to each other. This is how it's supposed to be. Talk to each other.
Yes, not at each other.
Not against each other. Just talk towards each other. Just be friends, be friends. Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Is anybody there?
Are you drinking? Are you intoxicated, Gary?
A little bit. Sound like.
God damn. It's like, not even.
You okay, Gary?
You know what I've freaking heard? All of you guys just yelling at each other and everything else. It's just, no, it's me. It's like, it's just, I don't know. Come on, guys.
Dudley's been waiting for an opportunity to speak. May she please speak?
I said that she could speak after. Are you done, Gary? I'm the one that invited Dudley. That's my girl. Are you done, Gary?
Yeah, I guess.
If you're not, you can continue.
Not really. It's like everybody's like got their own opinions and everything.
And you know what they say about opinions.
They're like acid. We
Sure. Okay.
Okay, Dudley, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say throughout this whole entire life, everybody has participated in disrespect, talking over everybody, name calling, and so forth and so on. And this is one of the main problems why we can't be unified and come together, because simple by just listening. Not listen to respond, but listen. And a lot of people are not listening, they're listening to respond. We got to start by listening to each other first. Letting each other speak one at a time, not speaking over anybody. Come on, man. It's like some of this basic stuff we should already understand as adults. These are something we teach our kids. And the fact that all of us that I'm thinking are adults should be able to hold these conversations, and not once have this been able to happen in this life.
Where are you from?
I think it's well said, Dudley.
Dudley, what part of PR are you from? I'm just curious.
My family is from Ponce, Puerto Rico. That's where my Taino lineage is from.
Nice.
Puerto Rico.
I have family in Vieques, Dudley.
Sorry about that.
What's so funny?
Gary made me laugh. I have family.
Sorry about that.
I'm just, I'm on this app to reconnect to my people, reconnect with others, and honestly, fighting back and forth gets tiresome. It's not good. It's not good energy. It's not good medicine.
It's exhausting.
We got bigger issues than to argue over who native, who not real native. How is that solving anything? Can anybody answer that? How is that going to solve any of our issues?
Thank you. Now you're sounding like me. I like that now.
Don't get too comfortable. You still in the waters for your
I'm still in the waters. Toss me a lifesaver. Come on.
All right.
Just hatred, that dude. I'm serious. It's like, come on now, dude. Why you gotta hate so many people?
But sometimes I could be hard-headed.
But no, I had brought Dudley up here because of one of the topics, because she is, constantly too been battling that group of people that apparently I offended people by saying that. That group of people who've been doing African erasure and indigenous erasure. And so, she's got a ton of, if you guys should add her. She's got a ton of videos on it. She's been, trying to teach them, what the true history is. And so, being that I had told her earlier when I was on, one of her lives, I said, I should have a live and then have you, come on up and speak. And she said, I would love that. So that's why I had brought her over here, and then it turned into this.
Yes, absolutely.
What the devil did I walk into?
Right? Oh my gosh.
I mean, most of us, we are alone. All of a sudden it's like, 9 people in here with me. It's like, oh my God. Aren't we that?
And I just want to respond. I think that the mestizaje piece hits people differently. And I think that a lot of the conversation that needs to happen between detribalized, mestizo people and indigenous people is precisely about mestizo privilege, and people are not ready to hear that and to have that conversation. And then because they're not, then we feel away, because that's the one thing that's standing between the unity piece, is like how the mestizo identity is all about erasure of Black and people.
Thank you, Beto.
Yeah.
Can I
You mentioned
Let me say
mestizo
something
is a
really fast.
racist term.
Who says that?
Beto.
Beto said that. But hold on, man. But here's the thing, though, man. It might have been back then, but mestizo for most people now, for most people today, it only means that you're a mixed with Native and European. It actually acknowledges it doesn't erase it. It acknowledges the indigenous side.
So I just saw someone say mestizo privilege is a real thing, but I want to talk about this, okay? So if you look at Chapo Guzman's story, okay, he talks about walking the Sinaloa streets, and the freaking Mexican government they neglect the shit out of Sinaloa during that period, okay? So they actually go out on the streets of Sinaloa and from an airplane start shooting down at people. They start shooting down at kids, okay? People from Sinaloa are obviously native because everybody in Mexico thinks that's our base blood, right? Hold on, Gary, can you mute yourself really quick? Sorry.
Sorry, I did.
So here we have the Mexican government, okay, gets on a plane, starts freaking shooting at the people. And this is during Chapo, when Chapo was a kid, okay? And he's like running on the streets trying to save himself from dear life, right?
But that's Mexico.
Well, yeah, I know, but we're Mexican. So then you have people, messed up things happen to indigenous people. Now, the people in Sinaloa are German descent. So what privilege are we talking about? What privilege is the Mexican government? What privilege did the Mexican government give the kids in Sinaloa shooting down at them?
There's natives in Mexico too. It's not the whole thing. It's like there's Spanish people and then there's natives and they're in too. They don't even have a voice.
But they do, Gary. Gary, they do. And this is why I think it's important that we bring an indigenous person from Mexico, because the state of Yucatan they teach people a native language in Spanish. When you go visit those pyramids in the state of Yucatan, the Mayans get a cut out of it. Did you also know that a lot of the Mayans go to universities? They do. A lot of them are historians. A lot of them are the ones that are teaching the history of the Mayan pyramids. Now, are there other tribes that have more of a disadvantage? Absolutely.
Heidi, would you say that?
Absolutely not.
Heidi, would you say that what you're describing about the Yucatan and the Maya people from the Yucatan, would you say that's the exception or the rule for indigenous people in Mexico?
I think it depends what state they're from. The poverty level, the way the local government is handling them, the greed in Mexico, which is a fucking problem.
I think you're almost
Mayans and Aztecs is a whole different native states over there.
The Yucatecos being able to go to university and having the cut from the
government.
The government for the tourism and everything, and having their indigenous language taught in school. Is that the exception or the rule for indigenous pueblos in Mexico?
So it depends. So again, it depends on the state.
Exception.
Okay. No. Don't answer for me. Hold on. You're asking me something, allowed me to answer. It depends on the state. It depends on the local government. It depends on the money. It also depends on the greed, because what Mexico has and what's been an issue in Mexico is that the politicians are greedy, that the top heads are greedy, just like they are in the United States. So it depends who's running that area.
Let me answer my own question, because I think you're going around in circles.
No,
and
no
you're
one's
not
going around. So it depends
Can
on
I?
the area.
You
Some are
asked me to be.
privileged.
You asked me to be quiet
Some
and
will
let
get
you
the same
answer.
treatment, others
Okay,
won't.
I'll let
So
you. I'll let you finish.
okay, so some will get that treatment, others won't. And the ones that won't, once again, yes, they, but the Mexican government has really done a lot of people wrong. You need to understand that it's not just one group. They do wrong to everyone. Okay. In Mexico. If you come from a state that it doesn't have money, or you come from a state that doesn't have much to offer, trust me, the Mexican government doesn't really care, unfortunately, and that goes to everyone.
So I study indigenous languages in Mexico and Mesoamerican indigenous languages, and language focus is a really it's a passion of mine. It's something that I really care about. It's something that I'm studying actually in college. And so when we take a look at the indigenous languages in Mexico, we do see that there's a systemic way in which indigenous communities are under pressure to let go. And
is there a Aztecs, do they have their own language? Have you guys ever?
Let's come back to that in just a second,
so
Gary.
Here's a comment
please, can I please finish, Heidi? Because I'll let you finish.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
So what I want to say is that regardless of how you think that, that you're saying that your cousins are privileged and that there's all these Yucateco privileges, the reality of the languages, and the languages can reflect what the pueblos are going through. The reality is that the languages, as well as the pueblos, are under tremendous pressure to assimilate out of their indigenous heritage. In the past 100 years, that's when the majority of the language death has happened. And the pressures have not been from Spain. Yes, it is. Look it up.
Let me say something?
The pressures have not been from Spain. The pressures have been from other Mexican citizens. It's not from other pueblos. It's okay. This is why. This is why we're never.
Let me say something really. Let me say something really fast.
I'm going to be quiet.
You guys do realize that the school curriculum is being changed, right?
Cordial exchange with Heidi. Heidi, I'll just say this before you go on. Okay, you asked, what is this mestizo privilege? This is the mestizo privilege, that you're not able to hear it just yet, but maybe one day you will.
No, it's not a privilege. It's because you're not saying facts about
just
Mexico.
Because I'm interrupting. I do this to everybody, man.
No. She's talking to me. Hold on, Fidel. So, the Zapotecos in Oaxaca also get taught their Zapoteco language, FYI. So that's another example. What you said is not true. There is no pressure. As a matter of fact, the Mexican government has different laws for the indigenous people. So when they practice their religion, and when they take certain plants or whatever, if a regular Mexican from the city takes those plants, they get treated as if they have a DUI and they will go to jail. However, an indigenous person will not. Mexican government has strict laws that protect indigenous people, to protect their culture, and so that they can continue to practice. As a matter of fact, the Mexican government doesn't put pressure on them to come down to the cities, which is the reason why recently they hired Cuban doctors to go up to the mountains where they're at to check them and to work up there with medical and stuff. If they put pressure, don't you think the Mexican government would just do what the United States does and tell them, hey, create some kind of hysteria and tell them, hey, calm down. You need to calm down because you guys are going to get sick up there. No, they don't do that. Instead, they're trying to accommodate them. They're trying to bring doctors up to the mountains. So no, there's no pressure. And this is why I tell you, Kalala, if you told me right now, this is the pressures happening from the Central American president, I would believe you because you're from Central America, but don't speak on Mexico.
I'm actually moving to speak on Mexico, but I hear what you're saying. And what I want to just end on in replying back to you is that Languages don't just disappear out of thin air, Heidi. They are systemically killed. They're systemically killed by, that's linguistics. Like, there's an entire field of anthropology called anthropological linguistics. They study languages. Within the study of linguistics, there's a branch specifically designed to study revitalization, to study language death and the way that languages die. And the reality is that indigenous languages are killed systemically by the state. It's oppression that does it. It's not just, no queremos hablar la lengua. That's not how it happens, because languages are crucial to the fabric of the communities. So for you to sit here in a panel and say that the languages just disappear because, oh, well, that's just how it is, and to deny the fact that they're systemically killed.
I didn't say, oh, well.
Lies. But you have to face the fact that they're systemically killed through oppression of indigenous people, through the supremacy of Spanish and mestizaje.
Right.
You can't sit here and deny
Spanish in the 1700s. But what are we going to do?
The majority.
Dig out their graves and beat them up? What are we going to do? We'll dig out their graves?
Can I
wanted to share something.
Hey, let me say something really fast. I've been trying to say something really fast. You guys are aware that Mexico,
nobody cares.
the school system, the curriculum is being changed, right?
Yes, Fernando.
Gary, are you drunk, man?
Your daddy's drunk.
You're just talking to me and everything else. Like, come on now.
Oh, my bad. That was Isaac. I thought so, man. My bad. Yeah, you actually sound more manly.
Anyways, do you actually want to talk to me, or you just?
I thought it was responding. I thought it was talking.
No,
to Isaac.
actually, like, I'm serious. It's like, do you want to freaking talk to me? Like, come on now. It's like, I'm native and everything else. Like, it's just like, come on now. Let's have a conversation if you actually wanna.
No, I just explained to you. I'm going to explain to you again. I thought you were Isaac.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
So can everyone
Believe
mute?
me,
I
I'm
want to let Joey speak, please.
Yali, I'm a Sinaloa native from West Coast, Mexico. My tribe is Cajita.
Awesome.
I'm born and raised in California, though, on Ohlone territory.